What's up, friends? Can't Flip for Ship here. And today I wanted to talk about how Lucas from Squid is basically wrecking all these clone manufacturers. And it's not really that big of a deal, but it is kind of like something that I thought was kind of cool, which is that he's kind of setting a standard. So like, the reason why I'm making this video in the first place is because I saw a video by a guy of the name of Clone Support. Great channel, really good content. And it's basically saying something along the lines of, yeah, he's like a big clone supporter, has a lot of clones, reviews clones, talks about clones all the time. But he was like, you know, lately I've got the Kraken and I really haven't been wanting clones. And if you guys will remember, that's a lot of the sentiment about the reason why I stopped using clones was for the same thing, was because I just thought, you know, what's the point of the clones when the actual thing is so dang good, right? And so that's kind of like how everything kind of came to fruition with me as well, and how I became sort of like, not necessarily anti-clone 100%, because I understand that there's sort of utilizations for them all. But for me, I just thought, you know, I don't really like the idea of buying a bunch of crappy things whenever there's clearly like a better option. And so the way that Lucas is kind of like dealt with this is kind of interesting, because he doesn't necessarily go against the clones and say like, oh, you know, I dislike clones 100%. He sort of is kind of like along the line of saying like, I'm not really going to talk about it that much. I don't know if I've ever heard him say like a statement about it. And he's like, but I'm just going to let it be what it kind of is. And he basically just is a G and is like, I make a better product. And I think that that's like a really, really interesting way to handle yourself in that type of situation, because a lot of people think like, oh, you know, it's about, you gotta set an example or let them know how you feel or beat them with the logic, whenever he's more along the lines of like, why would I deal with all of that crap when I can just make a better product? And I think that that is an absolute G move, an absolute player move, an absolute Chad move. And like, a lot of people will realize, I'm not the only one. Clone Support is not the only one. We're not the only ones that have realized that like, hey, you may like clones at the start. We've had a lot of clones. He's had a lot of clones. But eventually you will reach a point where you're going to enjoy, more so than anything, you're going to enjoy the quality of a real Kraken. And it comes to the point where like, once you feel one of these, you will be anti-clone. Not necessarily anti-clone, I don't want to say it in that sentiment, but you're going to be like, man, why was I ever messing around with those damn clones in the first place? So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to see where people end up along that line and how it sort of affects their thought process. But for me, I've always thought, you know, yeah, this Kraken changed the way I look at battle songs forever. And I think that that's starting to happen to a lot more people. And that's why clones are starting to get the vilification that, you know, they had previously had in the community before we started getting a lot of new people in the community. I almost cut myself. So it's interesting to see how that all sort of plays out, right? Because, you know, it's like cycles, you know, first the community likes clones, then they don't. But it's just sort of interesting, and I just want to make the video. Shout out to Clone Support, great videos, great content. I'm sure they still do want to make some clone videos. Soothing Voice, check the channel out. But I just want to make this video kind of showing off like, hey, this is how Squid handles the situation. And I think this is how every manufacturer should handle the situation, because it's just classy. It's like, we make the better product. We're not going to mention you. We're not going to bring you up. We're not going to talk about you in a negative light, because it's not even worth it. And I think Squid continuing to make the quality of products that they make kind of shows the others in the industry like, hey, you better watch out, because this is the standard. Like, this is, you know, the quality that we're bringing to the table. And without it, you know what I'm saying? Oh shit. Without having to say anything, we pretty much have shown you this is, you know, once you feel it, you're gonna be for it. You're not gonna want the clones anymore. You're gonna want the real deal, the real dealio. Oh shit. But yeah, short little video today. Just wanted to make something to kind of catch up. I got a lot of fun stuff coming. I have an idea for a series that I want to do, and you guys are really going to like it. I made a community post. Make sure to check that out, because I feel like a lot of you think it's like a troll post or something, but you got to check that out. Because it's going to be, trust me, it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. And you're going to wish that you had taken part in it when it does come to fruition. All right. Rock on.